How to be so productive that it feels illegal. Unlocking productivity, work smarter, not harder. Alright, let's talk about getting stuff done, like, really getting stuff done. I'm going to drop some knowledge on you that'll make you so productive it'll feel borderline illegal. We're talking 3 killer productivity principles that took me from drowning in flashcards in college to acing my grad studies. And these aren't just some theories that work for me, I've coached thousands of students worldwide, and they've seen massive results too. So, buckle up. Principle number 1, the Pareto Principle, aka the 80-20 rule. Back in my pre-med days, I was a studyaholic. I'm talking 15 to 20 hours a day, fueled by caffeine and sheer will. Flashcards were my life. By the end of the year, I had over 4,000 of those suckers, and I was spending 5 to 6 hours daily either making them or drilling them. I even had this crazy detailed spreadsheet tracking difficulty levels and whatnot. It was an elaborate system, but guess what? My results were still all over the place. I was grinding, but not always getting the grades to match. And when med school hit, forget about it. That system was totally unsustainable with a workload that was like 2 to 3 times heavier. The moral of the story? My hyper-focus on flashcards wasn't the silver bullet I thought it was. I was sweating the small stuff. This is where the Pareto Principle, or the 80-20 rule, comes in. It basically says that 80% of your results come from 20% of your efforts. Focus on that crucial 20%, and you're golden. Focus on the other 80%. You're spinning your wheels, getting frustrated, and probably stress eating a whole pizza. Sound familiar? Here's a real-world example, your health. You can go nuts trying to optimize everything, sleep schedules, hydration levels, every single micro and macronutrient, exercise routines, supplements, meditation, blah blah blah. It's a whole industry. But honestly, if you just nail the big stuff, decent sleep, drinking enough water, eating mostly healthy, and doing some kind of exercise, you're 80% of the way to feeling pretty damn good. You can pop all the supplements you want, but if you're skimping on sleep and downing a 6-pack every night, it ain't gonna matter. Productivity is about managing your most limited resource, time. You've got the same 24 hours in a day as Leonardo da Vinci. The key is figuring out what's actually worth doing. Don't think of the 80-20 rule as a strict formula. Think of it like this, you've got a to-do list with 10 things. Realistically, 8 of those are probably busy work compared to the 2 that will actually move the needle. Crush those 2, and you're making real progress. The Pareto Principle is the cornerstone of all productivity because it lets you stack your wins. Imagine you're a circle, and your goal is a target. If you don't prioritize, you end up like this, busy, scattered, and after all that effort, still nowhere near your goal. But apply the Pareto Principle. Boom! You're laser-focused, making significant progress, and maybe even less effort overall. People using the Pareto Principle look like they have their stuff together. They're focused, they've got clarity, and they're making it look easy. Meanwhile, the person who's not prioritizing, they're drowning in busy work, flustered, falling behind, and wondering why they're not getting anywhere. Here's how to use the Pareto Principle like a boss. Plan and prioritize up front. Yeah, you're busy. But guess what's more costly than planning? Not planning. Nothing kills productivity like wasting time on the wrong things. Good prioritization feels bad, this is the part people miss. Everything on your to-do list is already something you think is important. You've already filtered out the nonsense. So, cutting things will feel bad. You're aware of what you're giving up. Embrace that feeling. It means you're making the tough choices that will actually get you closer to your goal. Think holistically, productivity isn't just about work or studying. It's about everything you spend your time on. Taking breaks, hanging out with friends, pursuing hobbies, getting enough sleep, these are all crucial for recharging your batteries. If you're burning out, that's unproductive. Don't be afraid to prioritize self-care, even if it feels like you're slacking. It's not. It's strategic. Just using the Pareto principle alone can probably double or triple your productivity right off the bat. But I'm gonna tell you how to take it to the next level, a way nobody else is talking about. Stay tuned for that. To be continued with principles number 2 and number 3 in a similar fashion. Alright, let's keep this productivity party going. We've covered the Pareto principle, now let's supercharge it and make it feel practically criminal. 2. Supercharging the Pareto principle, the Pareto *2 principle. This is where things get nuts. We're not just applying the Pareto principle, we're applying it to itself. We're talking Pareto *2. Let's say you've used the 80-20 rule to identify those 2 crucial tasks out of 10. Now, break down those 2 tasks into smaller parts. Let's say each has 5 components. Guess what? The 80-20 rule applies again. 20% of those subtasks will deliver 80% of the impact. For example, you've got to write an essay. That's your big task. You break it down, plan, define objectives, write the main points, draft, and refine. Well, that initial planning stage. That's your golden 20%. Nail the plan, and the rest of the essay practically writes itself. Mess up the plan, and you're setting yourself up for a world of hurt. Or say you have to make an important decision. The 20% there is collecting information. The more info you have, the better the decisions. Using Pareto *2 gives you 2 huge advantages. It crushes procrastination, you're not staring down a massive, overwhelming task anymore. You're focused on that tiny, crucial first step. It boosts your success rate. By focusing on the most critical part of a task, you're ensuring that you do it well. Nail that part, and the rest becomes way easier. The takeaway: spend even more time up front figuring out the 20% of the 20%, your most impactful task within your most impactful task. And for those of you keeping score at home, Pareto *2 means you're spending about 4% of your effort to achieve 64% of your results. Let that sink in. Someone who's not using these principles, who's just grinding away at everything, they'll accomplish in 2.5 months what you can do by the end of the week. That's the power of Pareto *2. By the way, if you want to be more productive, one of your highest priority tasks, part of that 4%, should be building a better learning system. Learning is the ultimate skill. It's the rising tide that lifts all boats. Become a better learner, and everything else becomes easier. So, we've got the Pareto principle to prioritize tasks. But even with that 4% nailed down, procrastination can still be a beast. No point in prioritizing if you never actually do the work. That's where our second pillar comes in, the Zeigarnik effect. Stay tuned. Let's do this. Time to tackle procrastination head-on with our third principle. Get ready to use psychology to your advantage. 3. The Zeigarnik effect, your secret weapon against procrastination. I use the Zeigarnik effect practically every single day. Let me tell you a story. After my 5th year of med school, I took a year off for research. My first big project? A massive literature review. Basically, you read everything ever written in a specific field and then write a giant report on it. I started out all gung-ho, super excited. But, I'd never written a lit review that long, and honestly, the topic wasn't exactly thrilling. So, what did I do? I procrastinated. 4 weeks. It got so bad that after a month of doing absolutely nothing, my supervisor emailed me, like, "Hey Justin, are you still interested in this? You haven't shown me anything." Panic mode, engaged. I had to show her something. So, I scrambled for 3 days, cobbling together anything that made it look like I'd been working. I sent it off, and something weird happened. Even though it wasn't a real lit review, just something to appease my supervisor, starting the process actually made me want to keep going. The next day, I did a little more, then a little more, and before I knew it, the whole thing was done. That first step, as we all know, is the hardest part. But it's also the key to breaking procrastination. This is the Zeigarnik effect in action. The Zeigarnik effect basically says that our brains hate leaving things unfinished. An incomplete task sticks in our minds, nagging at us. We've got the ball rolling, and we feel this urge to finish it. So, here's the trick: deliberately start a task without intending to finish it. Start it, then leave it incomplete. This actually boosts your motivation. It lowers the barrier to entry because you're not committing to finishing, just starting. And starting is easy when you don't care about finishing, right? Less friction means less procrastination. The takeaway: stop thinking about finishing tasks. Think about leaving them unfinished. Your win condition isn't completion, it's getting the task to that incomplete sweet spot. Combine this with the Pareto Principle, or Pareto ², and you've already identified that one crucial task or subtask that delivers massive results. That's what you start, and then strategically don't finish, using the Zeigarnik effect. Pareto ²2 plus Zeigarnik effect. Your productivity is already off the charts. We're talking stratospheric levels here. But, of course, we can make it even more potent. Let's talk about supercharging the Zeigarnik effect to make it feel straight up illegal. I call this the Zeigarnik ²2 effect. Just like with Pareto, we can apply Zeigarnik to itself. Getting started actually has many sub-steps. Say your task is to sit down and study or plan your essay. Before that, you need to be at your desk, have your books ready, have a clean workspace, and have your phone on Do Not Disturb. So, you can get started on getting started. Organize your space, get your books out, set everything up. Now, the only thing left to do to properly get started is to just sit down and begin. See what I did there? You're using the Zeigarnik effect to trick yourself into, well, getting started. Now, let us find out how to finish it with the last principle. 4. Supercharging the Zeigarnik effect, continued, and bonus pro tip. Here's a bonus tip for those of you who are serious procrastination ninjas: use the reverse Zeigarnik ²2 effect. Make it hard to get started on things you usually procrastinate with. I used to be a hardcore gamer. To break the habit, I switched from my souped-up gaming PC to a MacBook and used only one monitor. My monitor was plugged into my MacBook, which I used only for work, not gaming. So, to play games, I'd have to unplug my monitor, crawl under my desk, open up the back panel of my PC, fiddle with the HDMI cable, and power it on. It was such a pain that I went from gaming for hours every day to just a couple of hours a week. I was too lazy to go through all that hassle. I made it so hard to get started with the distraction that I just didn't. And guess what? With AI and automation, we can make the Zeigarnik effect even more powerful. Let's say you're planning an essay and need some initial ideas, possible structures, and relevant resources. Boom! Use ChatGPT to generate some starting points. It's like getting a free running start on the task. You can also set up calendar reminders to prompt you to get your books and desk ready. Or use automatic Do Not Disturb focus periods on your phone so it automatically silences distractions when you're supposed to be studying. We're not just getting started on getting started anymore. We're setting up our environment and technology to do the getting started for us. The takeaway: keep breaking down the getting started process into smaller and smaller steps, and make it as easy as humanly possible. Now, the third productivity pillar amplifies the impact of the first two. It's the mindset shift that ties everything together, the championship mentality. Okay, let's talk about the big picture, the long game. This is the mindset shift that will take you from good to legendary. 5. The championship mentality, winning the war, not just the battle. This one boils down to a simple statement: lose the game to win the championship. Think about Toyota. Today, they're known for making super reliable cars. But it wasn't always that way. Back in the 50s and 60s, their cars were, well, pretty crappy. So, what did they do? They slowed down production. They took a hit to their revenue, profits, and market share. They sacrificed volume to learn, improve, and optimize their processes. They became obsessed with the details. And now, Toyota's turnaround is a classic business case study taught in schools worldwide. Here's the idea: imagine you're that circle again, trying to reach that target. A lot of times, you don't know exactly how to get there. You don't know what that 20% is that will give you 80% of the results because you don't fully understand what the goal requires. So, what do people do? They either do a bunch of random stuff, hoping it'll work, busy but not productive, or they just copy what everyone else is doing. But what if everyone else is wrong? The championship mentality says this: to achieve your ultimate goal, you don't have to win every battle along the way. In fact, it might be smarter to lose some battles to give yourself a better shot at winning the war. How does losing help you win? Losing gives you valuable intel. It turns unknowns into knowns. It helps you create a better plan, prioritize more effectively, and use the Pareto Principle like a pro. I see this all the time with studying. Students have a long-term goal, like getting into a specific university program. They've got an exam coming up, and they're obsessed with acing it. But their study skills are a mess. They don't understand how they learn best. They lack self-awareness. They're not in a position to succeed. The best thing for this student: spend the next month or two focusing on learning how to learn. Experiment, build a solid learning system, and figure out their strengths and weaknesses. This might mean falling behind on their immediate studies and maybe even bombing that upcoming exam. But, they'll crush the next one, and the one after that. They're setting themselves up for long-term success. If you're so focused on winning every little battle that you neglect the learning and self-discovery needed to win the war, you're setting yourself up for failure. Eventually, you'll hit a battle you can't win, and then you're stuck. You don't have the skills to win the championship, and you've wasted so much time that you might not have enough left to figure it out. Now, I'm not saying go out there and fail every exam on purpose. I'm saying that sometimes, to win the long game, you have to be willing to lose in the short term. Here's how to use the championship mentality. Define your championship. What's your ultimate goal? Is it really that next test or promotion, or is it something bigger? Assess the cost of losing. What are the real consequences of losing this particular battle? What's the opportunity cost? What are you giving up by focusing solely on winning this immediate game? Keep these two things in mind, and revisit them regularly, like once a month. Now, let's talk about how to make the championship mentality feel illegal. Think about it: we're willing to lose in the short term because it gives us valuable information to win in the long term. Let's say this y-axis represents your certainty of winning. You start with low certainty and low information. As time goes on, you learn more about what it takes to achieve your goal, your habits, your processes, and you find a way to make it all work. Your information level increases, and so does your certainty. Let's say this blue line is the point where you have enough certainty to know how to win. This is the winning line. But this dotted white line, that's when it matters. We don't want this learning period to take so long that we miss the boat. We don't want to look back with regret, thinking, I should have done things differently back then. That's what we want to avoid. Stay tuned to know how we can actually do this. Alright, let's bring it home and talk about the secret sauce that makes the championship mentality truly unstoppable. 6. Supercharging the championship mentality, action over time. Here's the key to making this whole thing work: time, by itself, changes nothing. It's what you do with that time that matters. I often talk to students about their study habits, and I'll suggest changes they need to make to reach their goals. And they'll say, "Okay, that sounds interesting. I'm just going to think about that for a week." A week? What's going to happen in that week? Are you going on a meditation retreat, hoping the stars will align and tell you what to do? There's this assumption that just letting time pass will magically lead to a better decision. It won't. You'll probably end up doing all the thinking the night before our next meeting anyway. Why not do it now? Your ability to gain certainty and information doesn't depend on time, it depends on your actions. This is where we change the game. While everyone else is passively waiting for clarity to strike, you can be taking action. You can pack the same amount of learning, the same number of actions, into a much shorter time frame. This means you'll figure out a winning strategy way faster than everyone else. People make this mistake with studying all the time. They say, "I'll do my best on this exam, and if it doesn't go well, I'll learn from it." But what are you actually learning? What specific data are you getting from that failure? And did you really need to spend 2 months studying a certain way, only to bomb the exam, to learn that lesson? Couldn't you have run a smaller experiment today, tested yourself tomorrow, and iterated daily to get the same information, or even more? Ironically, one of the most common things I hear from older students in my program is, "I wish I'd learned this back when I was in school. It would have changed my life." And then the most common thing I hear from students who are currently in school is, "I'll try it later. I'm too busy struggling right now to figure out how to do well." But here's the truth: if you don't make time to learn how to succeed, that time will be made for you later, through failure. The takeaway: don't be passive. Don't assume your problems will magically solve themselves. If you're serious about achieving your goals, take action. Do the things and make the time that other people aren't making, so that you can learn what other people aren't learning. These are the 3 pillars of productivity that will help you get more done and achieve your goals. The Pareto Principle and Pareto *2 focus on the 20% that delivers 80% of the results, and then find the 20% within that 20%. The Zeigarnik effect and Zeigarnik *2 start tasks without the intention of finishing them, and break down the getting started process into tiny, easy steps. The championship mentality, and its supercharged version: be willing to lose the short-term battles to win the long-term war, and prioritize action over passive waiting. Conclusion. Alright, folks, you've made it to the end. You now possess the knowledge to become so ridiculously productive, it should be outlawed. We're talking Pareto *2, Zeigarnik *2, and the championship mentality, a triple threat of productivity power that'll leave everyone else in the dust. But this is just the beginning. If you're serious about taking control of your life, crushing your goals, and living up to your full potential, you need to check out my How to Succeed in Life playlist. It's packed with game-changing strategies and tactics to help you level up in every area of your life. Seriously, it's like a cheat code for success. So, go ahead and smash that like button if you found this video helpful. It lets me know that I'm on the right track and helps this video reach more people who need to hear this message. Drop a comment below and let me know which principle resonated with you the most. Are you a Pareto Principle pro? A Zeigarnik effect ninja? Or are you all about that championship mentality? I read every single comment, and I love hearing from you guys. And finally, if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you don't miss out on any future videos. I'm constantly dropping new content designed to help you unlock your inner productivity beast and achieve your wildest dreams. You got this. Now go out there and make it happen.